Okay, I think I'm on. I don't know if I'm live. Doesn't say that I'm live. So right now it doesn't say that I'm live. Okay. So it says that I'm live, but I can't watch it right now. So I don't know what that means. But this is just a test run. So I'm just gonna test this out. Chat rate. Okay, so no one chatted yet. This is just me trying to figure out this whole thing. Okay, we're just gonna go along like as if I can see my stream and that it does work. So I hope it does work. But I think I'm streaming. Kind of makes me a little angry that I can't really like get it on my phone that I could watch. But it's okay. You know, my computer's going slow, but that's okay. But it's okay. So what we're actually being talking about today is what's happening in Iran. So as you guys probably have heard, there's a lot of stories about what's going on, like the protests, why the protests are happening. We're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna talk about why, what's going on, why are they upset, and my beliefs about it, which probably aren't the most politically correct beliefs. But yeah, so I'm just gonna put us on a screen share. So Iran protests escalate as regime crackdown leaves more than 500 dead. Okay.
as has the death toll, with security forces now estimated to have killed at least 500 protesters, perhaps many more.
In addition to renewed military threats from President Trump, late today he issued another threat saying any country doing business with Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States. It is unclear what sectors the president is designating. Nick Schifrin reports now, and a warning: some images in this story are disturbing.
In Iran, the street demands the end of the regime. Spews contempt for their leader.
What they're not showing too is the protests for the government, for Khamenei or whatever his name is. There's a lot of protests going on in the streets for this government. There's a lot of protests against these Gen Zers who want the collapse of the government for no reason, really. Like, I don't understand their whole idea of freedom. I don't understand, like, the West's idea of freedom. Is freedom just women being uncovered from their hijabs, dressing in underwear? Is that what freedom is? Is that what freedom you're supposed to be celebrating? Like, I'm confused what their idea of freedom is. And I guess that's the whole reason for this whole thing. They just want to destroy, the whole, any of the values that they have. They just want to destroy it. That's, in my view, that's the reason they're having this protest.
And declares this the final battle. Over the last few days,
and they caught a mosque on fire. What does that prove? What does that prove to anyone? What good does that do in any way? Was the mosque a government building? No. A mosque is a place of worship. A place where you're supposed to feel calm, a place where you're supposed to have peace with friends and family. What does a mosque have anything to do with the government? Why are they burning it down? After you start to understand, these people's mindsets, you start to understand why this even happened in the first place. It's a protest to destroy any kind of values they have in Iran. I'm completely for, and a lot of people are against me for this, but I'm completely for the whole government that they had in the past, or what they kind of still have. But the Islamic regime, I guess you would call it. I'm actually for that. I'm not for whatever this is, the burning of mosques and stuff. It just makes me very upset, because why in the world would you ever do that? That's like if you were in Mexico, and Mexico was having their revolution, okay? And all of a sudden they just start burning churches. What does that prove to anyone? What does that prove to anyone? Burning churches doesn't prove anything. It's your religion. And apparently these people don't believe in that religion at all, because they're burning it down. It really shows what kind of people they are. If your country is in a revolution and you want to destroy the ways of the past, what you do not do is burn a place of worship. It really explains who these types of people are. Who these types of people are, and and what they believe. It makes me very worried for the future of Iran. I don't think it's going to be going in a good way at all. I don't know.
Set fire to symbols of the regime's repression, including this mosque in Tehran, and sources of government power, including municipal buildings in the north. The response has...
They have guns on the street. They have guns on the street shooting at probably officers, Iranian officers. Whoa. I don't understand what the source of oppression is. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I didn't do enough research, but I really think Iran was a great country. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. What we're going to watch pretty soon here is a person who went into Iran and is pretty much like a tourist in Iran. And I don't see anything wrong with it. Sure, people have modesty, okay? But is that freedom to go against that? Is that what your freedom, your idea of freedom is? To go against modesty? Like,
Ruthless. In the last 2 weeks, human rights groups now accuse security forces of killing about 500 protesters, soaking the nation's streets in its citizens on the floor of the Harizik morgue outside of Tehran. So many bodies, they overflowed outside, where family members were beleaguered by loss. The regime called these victims, all lined up for their loved ones to find, armed terrorists. The toll so high, morgue officials cycled through images of the
maybe I need to research more. Because there seems to be a lot more to think about, you know? But, like, I didn't see anything wrong with the regime. I really didn't. I really think the protesters are just Gen Z, you know, trying to fight for their, you know, their freedom, which the idea of freedom in modern society has gone terribly wrong. People don't even know what freedom is anymore. And it's really sad to see that all go down. Because I love freedom. My idea of freedom is, you know, being able to not do what you want, but like, my idea of freedom is being able to speak whatever you want, not being targeted for that, not being canceled for that, being able to start a big family, being able to live comfortably. Their idea of freedom is a complete different story. It's to drink, to smoke, to party on the weekends, to go do degenerate acts, to pretty much be able to walk around the street in their underwear. That is their idea of freedom. That's the Gen Z in Iran's idea of freedom. And pretty much Gen Z everywhere except for me. You know, I feel like I'm the odd one out. But that's their idea of freedom in Iran. Like, being able to do whatever you want. And I guess not all freedom is good. I don't believe you should be allowed to walk out, you know, uncovered. Not like that, but like, like, without clothes. I don't believe that's okay. But probably in a couple years, that will start to be okay. Because everything gets normalized eventually, you know?
so they could be identified. Today, the government gathered its own march, tens of thousands, led by President Masoud Pezeshkian, who this weekend accused Iran's unnamed enemies of bringing, quote, trained terrorists into Iran. Today, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi aimed his comments directly at the U.S.
We do not seek war, but we are fully prepared for it. At the same time, as I have repeatedly said, we are also ready for negotiations.
Last night, President Trump confirmed he was considering a military strike.
But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking.
Military strike on what? Like, why are we striking Iran? They're already having a hard time. Why are we striking Iran? What did they do to the U.S.? What did they do to the U.S.? It's clear that the U.S. just wants to help the protesters. So there has to be something behind it that is in the benefit of the U.S. Or if we look at what's really going on, the benefit of Israel. Because that's what's really going on. That's what the whole thing is about. You know, these protesters don't know that. But what's the reason why the U.S. wants to strike them? What is the reason? What is the reason the U.S. wants to strike them? There's no reason for it. Other than to protect another country in the Middle East. Israel. That's the only reason. That's the only reason I could think about. Why are they looking to strike Iran? There's no reason. Other than to protect another country. What they did and what they're doing right now is staging a coup. To take out the only country in the Middle East that can ever have any resistance against Israel. Saudi Arabia is on Israel's side. Syria, well, with its new president, is on Israel's side. Jordan didn't even stop the no, actually it did stop, or I forget what happened with the whole thing with Iran and the missiles. But he sold out his own people, the king of Jordan. Jordan's on Israel's side. Egypt's on Israel's side. They won't let even the people in Gaza out into Israel or into Egypt. Oman, probably on Israel's side. Yemen, that's the only one. That's the only other one that's really against Israel. It's Iran and Yemen. Those are the only countries. And look how much they are in the news today in the U.S. That really explains something. That really explains the brainwashing they do to you. There is no other reason for the U.S. to strike Iran. Why would we strike Iran when they're already making progress? They just want to finish them off.
Some very strong options.
but also acknowledged Iran's willingness to talk.
A meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
The protests began in late December, triggered by rising prices. They expanded into calls for regime change and in unprecedented ways. Geographically, spreading from urban centers to rural provinces such as Ardabil in the north, and socioeconomically to include both the working and middle classes across the country. And despite the danger, protesters continue their clashes with police.
Okay, so you're fighting against the country because of the rising prices, okay? And then you go and decide to burn a mosque. Let me know how that makes sense. How does that make sense to start a whole revolution because of the rise of costs? And then you decide to go burn a mosque. What did the mosque have to do anything to do with it? What did the mosque have anything to do with it? Nothing. Were they the reason the cost went up? No. You know the reason why the cost went up? Because all the sanction on that country because of Israel. Because of Israel. You should not be going against your own country for something they can't control. Because they're in the right side of history. They're against Israel. They're the only nation in that region that is against Israel. And all the other countries in the world are pretty much on the side of Israel. So you're pretty much left alone to fight for yourself. I guarantee you what's going to happen, is that Iran's going to be westernized, unfortunately. And they're going to side with Israel. And then everyone's going to get freedom. And it's going to be a good thing seen in the West and in the U.S. without them knowing that they just got screwed over by Israel. Now, when Iran collapses, when this Western protest pretty much takes power, what we're going to see is a whole takeover of Israel across the Middle East. Palestine will be completely taken over. There'll be nothing to stop them. Except for Hezbollah. That's the only one that can stop them in that region, except for Yemen too. Hezbollah and Yemen are the only ones that could ever have any resistance against Israel in the Middle East. Nobody else. This fall is not something we should be happy about. You should not be happy about this. I'm telling you, it's gonna be so bad for the whole world. Really, it's gonna have effects on us.
Calling for an end to a government that gives religious leaders ultimate control. And they're willing to pay the ultimate price. Shut protesters around the world virtual private networks to buy.
Like, I understand dictators and stuff. I understand that it's not a good thing, right? I am fully against dictators. And I'm fully against, like, people who try to be like a tyrant, you know? Such as our president right now. Try to be like a tyrant. I'm fully against that, but you need to understand, I've heard things about the new president of Iran that's going to happen probably within the next month. He's a full support. He has full support for Israel, okay? I've seen him with a yarmulke on in Israel, kissing the wall, okay? Who would you rather pick? The person who is going to do everything in Israel and not have anything to do with Iran? Because we all know that once you support Israel, everything is for Israel and not for your home country. His home country is probably not even Iran, it's probably Israel. But, like, would you rather pick a person who is dedicated his life to Iran and religious values? And I know sometimes that could get out of hand, but would you rather pick him or someone that could sell out your whole country for Israel? For the chosen people. You're going to be a goy for the chosen people.
Pass state censorship. He says Iran shut down the internet faster and with fewer loopholes than ever before, showing the regime fears the protest threat is existential.
The national internet shutdown is very, very rare. And the reason for that is because of the collateral damage. The airports don't work. The banks don't work. A lot of internal services do not work. When a regime such as Iran's chooses to do that, it means that there is a higher stake at play. This is the biggest threat that they have ever felt. Therefore, they implemented the internet shutdown the way that they are doing it right now.
But the Trump administration has partially cut Tehrani's funding.
Courier, a ship without guns, goes into battle armed with the greatest weapon of all, truth.
As part of its cuts to the parent organization of Voice of America.
Citizens around.
Do you ever just think that we're like, you know, like the Western people are wrong? Because whenever I see things like that, like, it just doesn't make any sense. I can't, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, when I see something like that.
A ship without guns goes into battle armed with the greatest weapon of all, truth.
It just makes me feel sick. Goes into battle with arms with the greatest weapons of all, truth. The Western society has brainwashed everyone into thinking they're right. Like, there is really no objective truth. It's just how your society chooses to live. But like I understand that, but like, they push everything on everyone else. They push everything on everyone else. Afghanistan. Why is it a bad thing that why is it a bad thing in their society that women have to cover up? Like, why is that a bad thing? It's their modesty. It's their, you know, it's their norms. We go there because we have a society where, you know, you could do anything pretty much. And we say that's wrong. These are people that have lived like this for such a long time. Even before Islam took over that region, they've been into this sort of morality. You know how hard it is for a people to go from one type of morality to another? It's hard. And that's why you get so much resistance between the citizens of a country when a country like the United States goes into their country and tries to change everything. That's why you get so much resistance. Because you can't change a person like that. It's pretty much impossible.
As part of its cuts to the parent organization of Voice of America.
Citizens around the world are being tortured, imprisoned, and even killed for their online speech.
Those cuts also hit VOA.
Look what's happening in America. What the heck was that? Was that Buy America? Because that is hypocritical of all hypocriticalism. Okay, that said, let's look back.
cuts to the parent organization of Voice of America.
Citizens around the world are being tortured, imprisoned, and even killed for their online speech.
That is being said by America. That is being said by America. People are being imprisoned, tortured, and killed for their online speech. You can't even speak about Palestine in this country anymore without facing possibly crazy consequences. People have gone to jail. People have been split from their families from just talking about this. And I'm risking it right now in this country, speaking about it. And this is being said by the U.S., the hypocrites of the hypocrites.
Those cuts also hit VOA's digital descendant, the Open Technology Fund, which supports Siphon and other software that opens windows for protesters to share videos and communicate despite government attempts to close them.
It's just so stupid. It gets on my nerves how people just don't understand. They really just don't understand. We're going to watch a little bit of this video that explains a little bit of Iran in a little bit of better sense. And, like, really, you can kind of see what's...
Iran is ranked as one of the most dangerous countries to visit as an American. The US government issued this travel warning, citing terrorism and kidnapping as major risks. Iran's government supports militant groups that are openly hostile to the United States, and with no...
Not to the United States, to Israel, okay? I mean, I guess you could say that Israel and the United States are pretty much... Well, Israel controls the United States. I guess you could say that, so I guess it does make sense, you know? But I would say they support hostile groups that are against Israel.
Functioning US embassy, Americans who visit Iran are on their own if something goes wrong. So, why am I going to Iran as an American? Because I want to spend time with the local people to see what they really think about the States, America, and find out what the security situation is like on the ground today. This is going to be a wild 7-day road trip across the country, but first, I need to tell my parents I'm going.
Hey, Binsky.
Hi Mom, how are you?
Good.
Guess where I'm going tomorrow?
Where? Where?
Iran.
No, Druby, why? You can't go there.
Contrary to what my dad says, you can go to Iran as an American. You just need 3 months to prepare for the visa. After a long flight from Prague to Shiraz, a city in southern Iran, we have a little issue with my cameraman's visa.
We wrote down Slovakia, which is originally where he's from, but now he has a Czech passport, so...
He was going to universities and etc. Most of the younger generation prefer to stop in this kind of living.
Yeah, so like their kids' generation, like the chemistry, she won't keep it up.
Yeah. University.
And of course, Mr. Caretaker here is ready to feed them, give them water.
Invest here, but economy is not safe. But to live here, it's absolutely safe. Iran has a lot of opportunities for tourism.
The nature of Iran is amazing. Everywhere you have beaches, forests, mountains.
Desert culture, over 1,000 of years in the desert. So you go to a tiny village, they're living there for over 1,000 years.
So basically the life here is great.
Yeah, it's fine.
In terms of overall happiness, things to do.
So people are switching from being religious and more closed to be more open-minded.
Women used to cover their hair, and now I'm seeing so many women not covering their hair. It's crazy.
So it's applied, so they have to do it. So that's a law in Iran.
But they're taking it off now.
So they're taking it off. It's their choice. So they have to fight for it.
It's interesting because most people here are not religious. They don't go to the mosque. But obviously the government has its own ways of doing things, and I just think it's a crazy contrast between the local people and what the laws are.
People, they got really fed up with religion, which is really great, because otherwise, if Iran was a secular country in 1979, people wouldn't wake up. So now they don't really care about religion. In Iran, the next best
you know what,
the
that's
economy
not...
is not safe. But
He's bragging about it like that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. To not take religion into something that you hold deep in your heart. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for morality of a country. Everywhere that has pretty much deleted religion from their lives, those places have gone to, you know, bad areas. It hasn't worked out for them really good. And I always feel like it's better for a country to be a religious country than a atheist country. It's not a good thing to be without religion. Religion is what keeps you going. Being without religion is not helpful in any way. And this guy's pretty much bragging about their country not being religious anymore, and he's not really realizing that it's not a good thing for his country. I mean, I understand it. Like, you think it's a good thing, but it'll come back to bite him. It really will. And, like, laws, like, religious laws and stuff, those are hard because they can get very, very strict and very, authoritarianism. Authoritismic. I don't know if that's a word. But it can get very strict. And that's something that, you know, they probably should have been more careful with in the first place of implementing those laws, so that it doesn't so that it doesn't end up like this. You know, be a little bit less strict, but still keep those values. But, you know, it's not a good thing what he's talking about. Like, I'm a religious guy, you know, and I'm not saying that just because I'm religious. I think for a society to be successful, it does need to have a part to do with religion. It's always better to have people who believe they will be judged at the end than people who believe that they won't be judged, because those people don't really have any consequences of their actions. It doesn't register in the head. What this guy's being happy about is everyone in Iran being non-religious said it's a good thing. What he's really saying is it's a good thing that people have the morality. He doesn't realize he's saying that. But that's what will eventually happen in Iran.
To live here is absolutely safe.
Amazing architecture we have here. Look at the beautiful tile work. Look at the spectacular calligraphies we have.
Look at that building. Like, if my country had a building like that, like I would fight for that country. Right now, I would not fight for my country right now. You know, I do not support it, you know. But if my country had a beautiful building like that, and if they were like common, of course I would support it. Like, I'm always so jealous of people who, you know, they have confidence about their country. You know, they're happy about living there. They call it their home country. Of course, the U.S. is my home country, but do I support what we're doing? No, I feel like we're the most evil country. Next to Israel, we're the most evil country on earth.
Around this mosque, which makes it really, really fascinating. Yes, it's original, from 17th century.
Dude, the moment I walked through the arch, you know, you just get the goosebumps. Yeah. If I stood here 400 years ago, it would look the same.
Exactly the same, exactly the same.
That is insane.
I think the most impressive thing for me in here is how that light always faces Mecca. and you only see it when you enter the mosque, then it goes away.
The mosque is located just next to the main square of Esfahan, the second largest city square in the world behind Beijing, and I'm very excited to walk around and mingle with more locals.
Teach me the phrase again.
Ah, the famous phrase.
Yes.
Esfahan,
Esfahan?
Nesfe Jahan.
Nesfe Jahan means?
Esfahan, half the world.
Half the world. I heard that Esfahan is one of the most open-minded cities in Iran, so I came here to try to meet some younger people and see what the culture is like underneath the surface. So we obviously can see amazing mosques and mausoleums that we went in, but what's actually happening behind the scenes? How are people living their life? I'm on a mission now to meet some people and see if we can find out. How are you? What's your name? Mohammed. My name is Drew. As you can see, people here are extremely friendly. We're just hanging out in the main square. The sun is going down, kids are playing in the water, people are having picnics and riding horses. Ronaldo? No. You can see they just come up to you and sit down and they just want to make friends, and that's one of the best things about visiting Iran. And like when I say I'm American, it raises an eyebrow, and they're like, oh, American, but they just want to be friends. Khudafez. America. Yeah, inshallah. Wow, that was cool. I don't know what he was saying. He kept saying America, America, and smiling, but I imagine it was pretty genuine. Are you from Esfahan?
No, I'm from Estefan.
What's Estefan?
Just kidding.
So, what do you like about Esfahan?
I like the inflation. I like the political situation, sanctions. It's great. The river is dry.
You know what? At least people have a sense of humor. I respect that. Really though, what's good about Iran?
What's good about Iran? The nature is very varied. We got mountains, we got desert, we got the sea. The people are friendly. We don't have that variety in food.
Is it a struggle to live here?
Yeah, it's
economically.
It is economically. It's we have problems. We have daily problems. We have daily inflations, and those stressful. You know, every time when you're bombarded with the news, stress about a few.
Like, the reason they have inflation and things like that is not because of the actions that their own country is doing. And sanctions, it's because of all the other countries who hate Iran, these nice people, for being against Israel. They hate Iran because Iran does not like the killings of children. That's the reason they have all these problems. You know, these people, they're not bad people because they don't understand that it's not their country's fault for the high costs and things like that, inflation. They do think it's corruption. I could understand that. They were just brainwashed into believing that it's their country's fault and nobody else's fault, not Israel's fault. Not U.S. and Israel's, inspiration of all the protests. They don't believe that. So, I feel like these people have been really brainwashed into believing that their culture is bad. Their religion is bad. Their people are bad. I can see like a split in the type of people in Iran. Sort of how like the US is facing now. So they're not bad people at all. The Gen Z people are not bad. Even though that guy looks 40 years old. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream here. And it's my first stream I've ever done. If my cursor ever decides to work out on the stream. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. I know probably no one watched, but that's okay. I'll see you guys for the next stream. I hope it's sometime soon. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream.